Hello, everyone. My dear ones, listen to me. I have seen the sun rise on many dreams and set on even more wasted chances. I have watched people stand at the edge of greatness, trembling, waiting for something, someone to push them forward. But hear me now. No one is coming to push you. No one is coming to hand you the life you want wrapped up in a fine silk bow. If you want to reach high, if you want to touch the sky with the tips of your fingers, you must first learn to discipline yourself. My dear ones, listen closely, because I do not speak for the sake of sound. I speak so that you may hear, so that you may know, so that something deep inside you stirs and refuses to rest until you have done the work you were put here to do. You see, there is a price for everything in this world. Nothing comes free, not even the air we breathe. For we must first open our lungs and take it in. And greatness is the most expensive thing of all. It does not come to those who merely wish for it, who sit idle with their dreams tucked neatly inside their hearts. No, greatness demands a price, and that price, my dear ones, is discipline. Discipline is the quiet work done in the dark before the world ever sees the light of your success. It is rising before the sun, pushing forward when every muscle in your body pleads for rest. It is choosing focus over distractions, progress over comfort, purpose over pleasure. It is standing in the face of weariness and saying, "Not yet, I'm not done." Greatness does not favor the lucky, the privileged, or the naturally gifted. It favors the ones who refuse to surrender. It favors the ones who day after day show up and do what must be done, not because they feel like it, but because they have decided they will. There will be days, oh yes, when the fire of excitement has cooled, when the work seems endless, when no one is watching and no one is clapping. Those are the days that will determine your future. Those are the moments that separate the ones who dream from the ones who achieve. The world is full of people who want to be great. They speak of their desires. They whisper of their goals. They imagine a future where their names are written in bold letters across the sky. But when the time comes to sacrifice, to suffer, to stay when quitting would be easier, many turn away. They fold under the weight of discipline because it is not easy, because it does not taste sweet, because it does not grant instant rewards. But hear me, my dear ones, the rewards will come. They always do. Not today, perhaps not tomorrow, but they will. Because discipline is like a seed planted in the earth. It takes time, it takes patience, it takes faith. But if you water it, if you nurture it, if you stand guard over it and protect it from the weeds of doubt, it will grow, and one day the world will look at you and call you an overnight success. But you will know better. You will know of the hours spent in silence, the sacrifices made, the temptations resisted. You will know of the nights spent in struggle, the mornings that required more strength than you thought you had. And when they ask you how you did it, you will smile because the answer is simple: you paid the price. So do not look for shortcuts. Do not seek an easy way. There is none. If you want to touch greatness, if you want to rise beyond where you stand today, you must make discipline your dearest companion. You must take its hand and walk with it step by step through the fires of struggle, through the storms of doubt, through the moments when quitting seems like the only choice. And when you come out on the other side, standing tall, standing firm, standing victorious, you will know that every step was worth it. My dear ones, I want you to hear me, not just with your ears, but with your soul. I want you to understand something so deeply that it settles into your bones and refuses to leave. Success is not an accident. It is not a matter of luck, nor is it reserved for those born with advantages you believe you lack. Success belongs to those who show up. It belongs to those who understand that greatness is not built in a day, but in the small, deliberate actions repeated over time. You see, the world will tell you to wait for inspiration, to move only when you feel motivated, to act only when the conditions are perfect. But I am here to tell you that motivation is fleeting. It is like the wind. One moment it rushes through you, filling your lungs with purpose, and the next moment it is gone. If you build your dreams on motivation alone, you will spend your life waiting, hoping, wishing for the right moment. But those who reach high, those who carve their names into the very fabric of history, they do not wait, they work. They show up when the fire is burning bright, and they show up when the fire is nothing more than a single flickering ember. Every step you take, every effort you make, it builds something. It may not feel like it in the moment. You may wake up one morning and think to yourself, I am tired. I see no progress. I should rest just for a day. But hear me when I say this. One day turns into two, and two turns into a week, and before you know it, you have abandoned the path entirely. That is why consistency is the bridge to success. It is the thing that carries you over the rough patches, the doubts, the moments when you wonder if all of this is worth it. There will be times when you cannot see the results of your efforts. Times when the weight of your dreams feels heavier than you imagine. But do not be fooled. Just because you cannot see something does not mean it is not growing. A tree does not bear fruit overnight. The roots must first dig deep, unseen beneath the soil, strengthening themselves so that when the time comes, they can hold the weight of all that is to come. And so it is with you. Every time you show up, every time you push forward, even when you do not feel like it, you are strengthening yourself. You are becoming the kind of person who can carry the weight of success, who can stand tall when others falter, who can reach higher than they ever imagined. People will ask you how you did it. They will look at your success, at the way you move, at the things you have built, and they will wonder what secret you have discovered. But there is no secret. The truth is simple, yet most do not want to hear it. Consistency wins. The one who works every day, who takes even the smallest steps forward, will always outlast the one who moves only when they feel like it. So hear me well, success does not belong to the strongest, nor to the smartest, nor to the most talented. It belongs to the one who refuses to stop. It belongs to the one who keeps moving, who keeps striving, who keeps believing even when no one is watching, even when no one is cheering, even when the road stretches long and uncertain ahead of them. Do not let inconsistency be the thief that steals your dreams. Do not let doubt whisper lies that make you hesitate. Show up again and again. And one day, when you stand at the heights you once only dreamed of, you will know it was not luck, it was not chance, it was not a single moment of greatness. It was you showing up every single day. My dear ones, lean in and listen, because what I am about to tell you is not just a lesson. It is a truth, a force, a law that shapes lives, whether we acknowledge it or not. Who you are today, what you have, what you see when you look around, these are not accidents. They are reflections of the things you do, the choices you make, the habits you have built. Your habits shape your destiny. Not your wishes, not your words, not the grand dreams you whisper to yourself at night. Your habits. What you do when no one is looking, what you choose when no one is watching, what you repeat day after day, those are the things that decide the heights you will reach. Look around at the people you admire, the ones who have built something out of nothing, the ones who stand tall, the ones who seem unshakable. Do you think they got there by accident? Do you believe they stumbled into success one day, woke up and found themselves at the top? No, my dear ones. They built their lives one choice at a time. They shaped their futures with the small things they did consistently, the things most people overlook, the things most people are too impatient to do. It is easy to talk about dreams. It is easy to say, one day I will be great. One day I will rise. One day the world will know my name. But let me ask you, what do you do every day? Do you wake up with purpose, or do you let the morning slip away? Do you push yourself even when it is hard, or do you make excuses? Do you choose discipline over distraction, or do you allow time to waste itself in your hands? Do not fool yourself into thinking success is a single act, a grand moment, a stroke of luck. No, success is built in the quiet, in the ordinary, in the unnoticed habits that form the foundation of who you are. If you waste today, if you take shortcuts, if you tell yourself that small choices do not matter, then do not be surprised when you look up years from now and find yourself in the same place, wondering where your dreams went. The truth is this: every single day you are either building your future or breaking it. You are either setting yourself up for greatness or setting yourself up for regret. And the difference, my dear ones, is in your habit. The small things you do, the patterns you create, the choices you make over and over again, these are the bricks that form the path beneath your feet. You cannot wish your way to success. You must work your way there, step by step, habit by habit. If you want strength, train your body. If you want wisdom, read, listen, learn. If you want discipline, practice it in the little things, in the moments when it would be easier to give in. If you want to be great, you must act like it. Not someday, not when you feel ready, but now, today, in this moment. There are those who wait for the right time, who wait to feel motivated, who wait for a sign. But those who understand the power of habits, they do not wait. They begin. They take small steps. They create patterns. They repeat their actions until those actions shape them into the person they were meant to be. So I ask you now, what are your habits? Do they lead you toward the life you want, or are they pulling you away from it? Are they making you stronger, wiser, better, or are they keeping you stagnant? If your habits do not serve you, change them. If your habits do not align with your dreams, replace them. It will not be easy, no, but nothing worth having ever is. Remember this: success is not an event, it is a process. It is built in the details, in the things most people ignore, in the habits you choose every single day. Your future is not something waiting for you in the distance. It is something you are creating right now with every action, every choice, every repeated behavior. Shape your habits wisely and your destiny will follow. My dear ones, listen closely, because this is the truth, and the truth does not bend, nor does it break. Success does not belong to the ones who start strong, nor to the ones who dream big. It belongs to the ones who refuse to quit. It belongs to the ones who stand when the weight of failure is pressing down on their shoulders. It belongs to the ones who push forward when every voice in their head tells them to stop. You see, it is easy to begin. It is easy to feel excited, to speak of the future, to set goals with a heart full of passion. But passion fades. The fire that burns bright at the beginning will dim, and when it does, what will you do? Will you walk away? Will you surrender at the first sign of struggle, or will you dig deeper, push harder, and remind yourself that the only way to lose is to stop moving? There will be days when doubt creeps in, when failure whispers in your ear, when the road ahead looks too long, too steep, too unforgiving. You will try and you will fall. You will make plans and they will crumble. You will take a step forward only to be pushed 2 steps back. But let me tell you something. Failure is not the end. It is only an invitation to rise again. The ones who reach the top are not the ones who never fail. No, they are the ones who fail and then stand up again. They are the ones who lose but refuse to be defeated. They are the ones who understand that every fall is a lesson, every setback is a test, and every struggle is shaping them into something greater than they were before. The world will tell you that if something is hard, it is not meant for you. It will tell you that if you do not succeed quickly, you should give up. But I tell you, the world is wrong. Anything worth having requires struggle. Anything worth achieving requires patience. And those who refuse to quit will always outlast those who do. Look around you. Look at the people who have built something, who have carved their names into history, who have defied the odds and stood victorious at the end of their journey. Do you think it was easy for them? Do you think they never felt pain, never faced rejection, never stood at the edge of defeat? No, my dear ones. They fought, they fell, they stood up again and again and again. And that is what you must do. You must keep going even when it feels like nothing is working. You must keep pushing even when you do not see results. You must hold on even when it seems like everything is falling apart. Because the moment you quit is the moment you guarantee failure. But if you stay, if you fight, if you push through, you give yourself a chance to win. So do not be afraid of struggle. Do not be afraid of failure. Do not be afraid of the long road ahead, because every step you take, no matter how small, no matter how slow, is bringing you closer to where you are meant to be. The only thing standing between you and success is the choice to keep going. My dear ones, hear me well, for this is not just advice, it is a truth that will shape the course of your life. Comfort is the enemy of growth. It is the soft bed that keeps you sleeping when you should be rising. It is the warm embrace that holds you back when you should be moving forward. It is the silent thief that steals your potential, not all at once, but little by little, moment by moment, until one day you wake up and wonder where the years have gone. You see, the path to greatness is not paved with ease. It is not lined with smooth roads and gentle breezes. No, my dear ones, it is rough, it is steep, it is filled with obstacles meant to test your spirit, to challenge your resolve, to see if you are truly ready to claim the life you desire. And the moment you decide that comfort is more important than progress, that ease is more valuable than effort, you have already lost. There is a reason why so few people reach high, why so few stand at the top while so many remain where they are. It is not because they lack talent. It is not because they lack dreams. It is because they choose comfort over growth. They choose to stay where it is safe, where it is familiar, where they do not have to struggle. But growth does not happen in places of comfort. It happens in the discomfort of trying, in the uncertainty of new beginnings, in the exhaustion of pushing beyond what you thought was possible. Think of a seed buried deep in the earth. It does not stay there, satisfied with the darkness. No, it pushes through the soil, stretching, reaching, fighting toward the light. It breaks through, even when it would be easier to stay beneath the surface. And so must you. You must push through the discomfort, through the fear, through the doubt, if you ever want to grow into the person you were meant to be. There will be days when you want to stay where you are, when you want to avoid the struggle, when you want to take the easy road. But hear me when I say this. Every time you choose comfort over progress, you are choosing to stay the same. You are choosing to remain in a place that no longer serves you, in a version of yourself that no longer fits who you are becoming. And one day you will look back and wonder what could have been if only you had dared to step beyond your comfort zone. But you, my dear ones, you were not made to stay still. You were not made to shrink, to settle, to accept a life that is less than what you are capable of living. You were made to rise, to grow, to stretch beyond the limits you once believed were impossible. And that means embracing discomfort. That means welcoming challenges. That means standing in the face of fear and saying, I will not back down. The ones who succeed, the ones who reach high, they are not the ones who had it easy. They are the ones who stepped into the unknown, who faced difficulty head on, who chose growth even when it was painful. They are the ones who refused to let comfort steal their potential. And now it is your turn. Do not let comfort be the thing that holds you back. Do not let fear of struggle keep you from your dream. Step forward even when it is hard. Keep going even when it is uncomfortable, because growth does not happen in ease. It happens in the moments when you choose to push forward, no matter what stands in your way. My dear ones, hear me well, for this is a truth many do not want to face. Excuses build walls, discipline builds ladders. And the choice is yours. Will you build a wall that traps you in the same place? Or will you build a ladder that carries you higher? It is easy to make excuses. It is easy to say, I am too tired. I do not have the time. I was not given the same chances as others. But listen closely. Excuses will comfort you. They will justify your inaction. They will make you feel safe, but they will never move you forward. They will never take you to the life you dream of living. Every time you make an excuse, you build another brick in the wall that separates you from your goals. And the longer you make them, the taller that wall becomes, until one day you cannot see beyond it. You cannot remember the dreams that once burned in your heart. You have settled into the belief that you cannot, when the truth is you will not. But there is another way. There is another choice, and that choice is discipline. Discipline does not ask how you feel. It does not wait for the perfect moment. It does not accept reasons for delay. Discipline does the work. It wakes up early. It pushes forward when motivation has long disappeared. It says, I do not make excuses. I make progress. Now, I will not lie to you. Discipline is hard. It demands sacrifice. It requires you to push through discomfort, to ignore the voice that tells you to stop, to choose action even when every part of you wants to rest. But hear me, discipline is the ladder that lifts you up step by step toward everything you desire. It is the only way to break free from the limitations you have placed upon yourself. The world is full of people who dream, but it is ruled by those who are disciplined, the ones who wake up and put in the work, the ones who do not wait for the right conditions, the ones who do not let failure discourage them. They are the ones who rise. They are the ones who turn dreams into reality. Look around you. Look at the ones who have achieved greatness. Do you think they never had reasons to quit? Do you think they never faced obstacles, never doubted themselves, never had days when they wanted to stop? No, my dear ones. They had every reason to make excuses, but they did not. They built ladders instead of walls, and now they stand where so many only wish to be. And you, what will you do? Will you continue to build walls, blocking yourself from the life that could be yours? Or will you choose discipline? Will you take one step forward and then another and another until you are standing on the heights you once only dreamed of? Do not let excuses steal your future. Do not let them keep you small. Make the choice today, right now, to build ladders instead of walls, to choose action over delay, to choose progress over comfort. Because the ones who rise are not the ones who wait for the perfect time. They are the ones who refuse to make excuses. My dear ones, hear me, for this is a truth that has shaped the greatest among us. The world does not owe you success. It does not owe you opportunities, recognition, or reward simply because you desire them. No, my dear ones, success is not given, it is earned. It is claimed by those who step forward, by those who work when others rest, by those who refuse to wait for life to hand them what they seek. Many will sit in silence waiting for the right moment, waiting for the right people to notice them, waiting for fate to open a door and invite them in. But the ones who rise, the ones who reach high, they do not wait. They step forward, they make themselves seen. They create their own opportunities when none are given to them. They do not ask the world for permission to be great. They claim it with their actions. Too many people live with the idea that if they work hard enough, life will automatically reward them. That if they are good, if they are patient, if they simply want something badly enough, it will come. But hear me well. Life does not operate on kindness alone. It does not hand out success to those who wait quietly. It belongs to those who are willing to fight for it, to those who are willing to demand more of themselves, to those who are willing to step into the unknown and take what they know they deserve. There will be times when you are overlooked, times when you are passed by, times when you are denied what you have worked for. Do not let bitterness take root. Do not waste time complaining that life is unfair, because fairness has never been the deciding factor between those who succeed and those who do not. No, the deciding factor is resilience. It is the ability to look at a closed door and build your own. It is the strength to hear no and keep moving forward until you find a yes. Look at the ones who have built something, the ones who have made a name for themselves, the ones who have left a mark on the world. Do you think the world simply handed them their success? Do you think every door was opened for them, that every opportunity was given without effort? No, my dear ones. They fought for it. They pushed forward when they were told no. They carved a path when none existed. They did not wait for someone to offer them a place. They made their own. And that is what you must do. You must stand up and take control of your own destiny. You must be relentless in your pursuit. You must understand that success is not about being lucky or gifted or chosen. It is about refusing to stop, refusing to settle, refusing to let circumstances dictate your future. You will meet people who will doubt you, people who will tell you that you are not ready, that you are not the right fit, that you are not capable. Let them talk. But while they talk, you work. While they doubt, you build. While they watch, you rise. Because the world may not owe you success, but if you are willing to fight for it, to earn it, to claim it, it cannot deny you forever. So do not wait for the world to give you what you want. Go after it, chase it, demand it with your effort, with your discipline, with your unshakable belief that you were meant for more. Because those who wait will always be waiting, but those who act will always be rising. My dear ones, you have heard the truth today. Not wrapped in comfort, not softened to make it easier to swallow, but raw and real, just as life gives it. Success is not a gift. It is not an accident, and it is not reserved for a chosen few. It is built through discipline, through struggle, through choices made every single day. You now stand at a crossroads. One path is familiar, easy, lined with excuses and comfort, but it leads nowhere. The other is steep, demanding, filled with challenges, but at its peak lies everything you have ever dreamed of. The question is not whether you are capable. The question is whether you are willing Will you rise when it is hard? Will you push forward when doubt creeps in? Will you keep going when the world tells you to stop? The answer to these questions will determine where you stand in the years to come. You have the power to shape your life, to write your own story, to step beyond limits and claim your place among those who dared to reach high. Do not let fear hold you back. Do not let excuses chain you down. Stand tall, step forward, and refuse to be anything less than what you were meant to be. Good morning, everyone, ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers. Listen close, for I come with a message that sings like the wind and hums like the river. It is time to discover yourself. You were not sent into this world to shrink, to wither, to stand in the shadows of somebody else's light. No, you were placed here with a purpose, wrapped in the golden thread of dreams, stitched with the fabric of possibility. The sun rises for you, the earth turns for you, the stars blink their approval every time you dare to be exactly who you were meant to be. Do not let fear hold your tongue. Do not let doubt tie your feet. Stand tall in your truth even when the world tries to hush you. Stand boldly even when your knees tremble, for inside you there is fire burning, waiting, ready to light up the night. Ladies and gentlemen, sisters and brothers, let me tell you something true. Your voice is a gift, not a whisper to be lost in the wind. Not an echo of somebody else's words, but a force, a sound, a declaration that you are here and you matter. Too often, this world will tell you to be silent. It will tell you to lower your voice, to soften your edges, to fit neatly into spaces that were never meant to hold all of who you are. But I stand before you today to say, do not shrink. Do not whisper when your soul is calling you to sing. Speak with courage, because your voice was not given to you by accident. When you speak, you are claiming your space in this world. When you speak, you are telling the universe, I am here, I am worthy, I belong. And that is something no one, no force, no circumstance can take away from you unless you let them. And I know, sometimes it is easier to be quiet. Sometimes silence feels safe. But safe is not where greatness lives. Safe is not where dreams take flight. Safe is not where change is made. Think of those who came before us, those who walked barefoot on burning roads, who stood when the world told them to sit, who spoke when silence would have been more comfortable. They did not wait for permission. They did not lower their voices to make others feel at ease. They spoke even when their voices trembled, even when their hands shook, even when their hearts pounded against their ribs like a drum of war. Because they knew, they knew, that to be silent in the face of truth is to let fear win. You will be tested. There will be times when your voice will be met with resistance, with doubt, with people telling you that you are too loud, too bold, too much. Let them say it. Let them talk. But don't you dare silence yourself to make them comfortable. Don't you dare rob the world of the power that lies within your words. Because when you speak with courage, you don't just free yourself, you free others too. You give them permission to rise, to stand, to use their own voices in ways they never imagined. Do not think your voice is too small to make a difference. A single note can shake the air. A single ripple can turn into a wave. And your voice, your true, unfiltered, unapologetic voice, is a storm waiting to be unleashed. Use it. Speak up when you see injustice. Speak up when you feel passion burning in your chest. Speak up when you know deep in your soul that silence is not an option. And listen, I know what fear feels like. I know what it is to stand at the edge of a moment, words heavy on your tongue, afraid of what might happen when they finally leave your lips. But let me tell you this, fear is nothing but an illusion dressed up in the rags of doubt. The moment you push past it, the moment you speak despite it, you will realize it has no real power. The power is in you. It has always been in you. So walk in your truth. Own your voice. Speak with the kind of courage that shakes mountains and moves souls. And when the world tries to hush you, when it tries to make you doubt, when it tries to tell you that your words don't matter, stand tall or speak louder and remind them that you were never meant to be silent. You were not sent into this world to fold yourself into shapes that make others comfortable. You were not made to dim your light just because it shines too bright for those who prefer the shadows. You were created to be exactly who you are, whole, unapologetic, standing firm in your truth. And let me tell you, there is power in that. There is power in standing tall when the world tells you to kneel. There is power in walking forward when fear tries to hold you back. There is power in owning every piece of who you are without apology, without hesitation, without the need for permission. But I know, the world will try to make you small. It will hand you labels you never asked for, try to squeeze you into a box that could never contain all that you are. It will whisper in your ear that you are too different, too bold, too much, and if you are not careful, you will start to believe it. You will start to shrink, start to quiet the fire inside you, start to wear a mask that fits their expectations instead of your truth. And let me tell you right now, don't you dare betray yourself for the comfort of others. Don't you dare swallow your voice just because the world isn't ready for the sound of your truth. The ones who change the world, the ones who leave their mark, are never the ones who fit in. They are the ones who refuse to be anything less than who they were meant to be. And I won't lie to you, walking in your truth is not always easy. Some days it will feel like pushing against a wind that doesn't want you to move. Some days it will feel like standing alone in a room full of people who don't understand you. But I promise you this. The moment you decide to embrace yourself fully, the moment you decide that you are enough just as you are, the world will have no choice but to make room for you. You must be willing to disappoint the people who only love you when you are convenient. You must be willing to stand alone if it means standing in your truth. Because the people meant for you, the ones who truly see you, will never ask you to be less. They will never ask you to dim, to shrink, to become someone you are not. They will celebrate you, lift you, remind you that you were never meant to blend in. You were meant to stand out. And listen, I know what it is to question yourself. I know what it is to look in the mirror and wonder if you are enough. But hear me when I say this, you have always been enough. Before the world tried to name you, before it tried to mold you into something smaller, before it told you what you could or could not be, you were enough. And no opinion, no rejection, no doubt can ever change that. So walk with your head high. Walk with certainty. Walk like you belong because you do. Walk in your truth, no apologies, no fear. And when they tell you that you are too much, tell them, I was never meant to be less. If there is one thing you must do in this life, it is to love yourself first. Not halfway, not in pieces, not only on the days when you feel worthy, but completely, fiercely, and without apology. Because if you wait for the world to hand you love, you might be waiting forever. If you wait for others to tell you that you are enough, you might never believe it. That love, that knowing, that unshakable truth, it has to come from you. And I know this world will try to make you doubt. It will try to convince you that your worth is tied to how you look, how much you have, how many people approve of you. It will hand you mirrors that only show you your flaws, voices that echo your insecurities, hands that only reach for you when it is convenient. And if you are not careful, you will start to believe them. You will start to measure yourself by standards that were never meant for you. Start to seek love in places that do not honor you. Start to chase validation that will never be enough. But let me tell you something. Your worth is not up for debate. It is not something to be bargained for, not something to be earned. It was placed in you the moment you arrived in this world, and nothing, no one, no circumstance can take it away. The way you love yourself, the way you speak to yourself, the way you carry yourself, it sets the tone for how the world will love you in return. If you treat yourself like an afterthought, others will do the same. If you shrink yourself to make others comfortable, they will expect you to stay small. But if you walk in love, if you stand in the fullness of who you are, if you look in the mirror and say, I am worthy just as I am, the world will have no choice but to adjust. And loving yourself is not just about words, it is about action. It is about the choices you make every single day. It is about setting boundaries and not apologizing for them. It is about saying no when your heart is not in it, and yes when your soul is calling you forward. It is about treating yourself with the same kindness, the same patience, the same compassion that you so freely give to others. Because how often do we pour love into everyone around us and leave ourselves empty? How often do we forgive the world but refuse to forgive ourselves? You deserve the same love, the same care, the same grace that you give so easily to others. And yes, there will be days when loving yourself feels like the hardest thing in the world. Days when the doubt creeps in, when the past weighs heavy, when you feel like nothing more than a collection of mistakes and imperfections. But even on those days, especially on those days, you must love yourself anyway. Love yourself through the uncertainty, through the fear, through the moments when you feel unworthy. Because love is not about perfection. Love is about acceptance. It is about holding yourself gently even when the world is rough. It is about standing by yourself even when no one else does. And do not let anyone tell you that self-love is selfish. It is not selfish to protect your peace. It is not selfish to walk away from what does not serve you. It is not selfish to choose yourself, to take up space, to demand the love and respect that you so freely give. The ones who truly see you, the ones who truly love you, will never ask you to be less in order to be loved. So love yourself first. Love yourself fully. Love yourself like your life depends on it, because it does. And when the world tries to make you doubt, when it tries to make you question, when it tries to tell you that you are not enough, stand firm, lift your head and remind them, I have always been enough. The past has a way of holding on to us. It lingers in the corners of our minds, whispering old stories, replaying moments we wish we could change, reminding us of the times we stumbled, the times we fell, the times we did not know any better. And if we are not careful, we start living there. We start defining ourselves by what we have been through, carrying our past like a weight, like chains, like something we can never be free from. But hear me when I say this. Your past is a lesson, not a life sentence. It is a chapter, not the whole story. You are not what happened to you. You are not your mistakes. You are not the pain that tried to break you. You are something greater, something stronger, something that refuses to be trapped in yesterday when tomorrow is still waiting for you. Too many people let the past decide their future. They let the hurt, the disappointment, the failures become their identity. They say, I can't do this because of what I have been through. I can't be that because of what I have done. But who told you that? Who told you that your past has the power to define your future? Who told you that you must stay bound to what was when what will be is still yours to create? You have to learn from your past, yes. You have to take the lessons, the wisdom, the understanding, and carry them with you. But you do not have to carry the shame. You do not have to carry the regret. You do not have to keep punishing yourself for mistakes that were meant to teach you, not break you. The past is a place of learning, not a place of living. You cannot build a new life with bricks from a house that has already crumbled. You cannot step into your power while holding hands with your pain. And I know some wounds take time to heal. Some memories still sting. Some moments still sit heavy on your chest. But healing is not about pretending the past never happened. It is about refusing to let it control you. It is about looking back with understanding, not with guilt. It is about saying, yes, that happened. Yes, I made mistakes. Yes, I have fallen, but I am still here, and I am still worthy of everything that is meant for me. You cannot let old versions of yourself make decisions for who you are today. You are not that person anymore. You have grown, you have changed, you have risen. You have walked through fire and come out stronger. And if the past tries to call you back, if it tries to remind you of who you used to be, you look it in the face and say, I am not that person anymore. You deserve to move forward. You deserve to create new memories, to write new chapters, to step into the life that is waiting for you. But you cannot do that if you are still holding on to things that no longer serve you. Let go of the guilt. Let go of the bitterness. Let go of the idea that you are not worthy of joy because of what has happened before, because you are worthy. You have always been worthy. And do not let anyone keep you in a place you have already outgrown. Some people will try to remind you of who you used to be because they cannot handle who you are becoming. Let them talk. Let them hold on to the past if they must, but do not join them there. Walk forward. Keep growing. Keep becoming. Because the only direction worth moving is forward. So learn from your past, but do not live in it. Take what you need, release what you don't, and step boldly into the future that is waiting for you. And when the past knocks at your door, when it tries to pull you back, stand tall, lift your head, and remind yourself, I have already outgrown this. Now go on and be who you were always meant to be. Life will knock you down, that is a promise. It will shake you, test you, push you to the edge of what you think you can handle. It will throw storms at you when all you wanted was sunshine. It will hand you heartbreak when you were expecting love. It will challenge your strength, your patience, your faith. But hear me when I say this, you will rise. No matter how many times you fall, no matter how heavy the burden, no matter how deep the wound, you will rise. Because that is what you were made to do. Falling does not mean failure. Falling does not mean you are weak. It does not mean you are unworthy or incapable. Falling is part of the journey. Every great soul that ever walked this earth has fallen. Every person who ever achieved anything had moments when they thought they couldn't go on. But the difference between those who rise and those who stay down is simple. Those who rise refuse to stay broken. They refuse to let the fall be the end of their story. They refuse to give up when the world tells them to quit. And I know, getting up is not always easy. Some falls knock the wind out of you. Some leave bruises that take time to heal. Some make you question if you even have the strength to stand again. But listen to me, you do. Even when you feel weak, even when you feel tired, even when you are standing in the middle of your pain, wondering if you can take another step, you can. And you must, because you are not meant to live your life on the ground. You are stronger than you think. You are braver than you know. You are built for more than just surviving. You are built for rising. And rising does not always mean leaping. Sometimes rising is slow. Sometimes it is one deep breath at a time, one small step, one shaky movement forward. But as long as you keep moving, as long as you do not let the fall define you, you are already winning. And do not listen to the voices that tell you to stay down. Some people will try to convince you that your failures are permanent. They will try to remind you of every time you fell, every mistake you made, every moment of weakness. Let them talk. Let them watch. But do not let them stop you. Because every time you rise, you are proving them wrong. Every time you rise, you are reminding the world that your story is still being written. There will be moments when you feel alone in your struggle. Moments when it seems like no one understands, no one sees your pain, no one is there to help you up. But trust me, you are never truly alone. There is always strength inside you, always hope waiting to be found, always a way forward, even when you cannot see it yet. And if you ever doubt that, just look back at everything you have already survived. Look back at the battles you have won, the storms you have walked through, the times you thought you couldn't make it, but you did. That is proof that you can do it again. That is proof that no matter what comes next, you have what it takes to keep rising. And do not rise just for the world to see. Do not rise just to prove a point. Rise because you deserve to see yourself standing tall. Rise because you owe it to yourself to keep going. Rise because your future is still waiting for you, and it is too beautiful to miss. So no matter how many times you fall, no matter how many times life tries to break you, rise again. Rise stronger, rise wiser, rise knowing that every time you get back up, you are stepping closer to the person you were always meant to be. And when the world asks how you managed to survive, how you found the strength to keep going, stand tall, lift your head, and tell them, I was never meant to stay down. You were never meant to walk this journey alone. No matter how strong, how independent, how self-sufficient you are, you were made for connection. You were made to be seen, to be heard, to be held, and yet so many of us try to carry the weight of the world on our own shoulders, believing that asking for help is weakness, believing that vulnerability is a risk we cannot afford to take. But listen to me. Strength is not in pretending you have it all together. Strength is in knowing when to reach out, when to lean on the ones who love you, when to say, I cannot do this alone. The world will try to tell you that you have to be tough, that you have to figure it all out by yourself. It will tell you that showing your wounds makes you fragile, that admitting you need someone makes you weak. But that is a lie. The strongest people are the ones who know the power of community, the ones who know that love is not just something you give, it is something you receive, something you hold, something that carries you when you are too tired to walk on your own. And I know, trust is not always easy. People have let you down before. You have given your heart, your time, your soul to hands that did not know how to hold them. You have been hurt by the very people you once depended on. And because of that, you built walls. You learned to rely only on yourself. You decided that standing alone was safer than risking another disappointment. But let me tell you something. Love, real love, the kind that sees you, that holds you, that reminds you of who you are, that kind of love is worth the risk. That kind of love is what makes life worth living. And love is not always grand gestures or perfect moments. Sometimes love is quiet. Love is someone who listens when your soul feels heavy. Love is a hand reaching for yours when the world feels too big. Love is a presence that says, I see you, I hear you, you do not have to do this alone. And you deserve that. You deserve people who pour into you the way you pour into others. You deserve people who show up, not just when it is easy, not just when you are at your best, but when you are tired, when you are lost, when you are struggling to see the light. But hear me when I say this, not everyone is meant to walk with you. Not everyone is worthy of your time, your heart, your energy. Some people will only love you when it is convenient. Some will only stay as long as you are giving, as long as you are bending, as long as you are making yourself small enough to fit into their expectations. Those are not your people. The ones meant for you will not ask you to shrink. They will not love you only when you are easy to love. They will stand beside you in the light and in the dark, reminding you that you are never alone. And do not just seek love, be loved. Be the kind of person who lifts others up, who listens, who stays, who reminds people of their worth when they have forgotten. Because when you pour love into the world, it has a way of finding its way back to you. The energy you give, the kindness you show, the way you love, it all comes full circle. So surround yourself with those who fill your soul and be the kind of soul that fills others. Because at the end of the day, life is not about how much you have, how much you achieve, how many battles you win. Life is about love. It is about the people who stand beside you, the hands you hold, the hearts you touch. And when your time here is done, when all is said and all is written, the only thing that will truly matter is how well you loved and how well you were loved in return. So open your heart, let love in. Let yourself be held. And when the world tries to tell you that you are better off alone, stand tall, lift your head, and remind them, I was never meant to walk alone. Life is a journey of discovering yourself, of standing in your truth, of loving yourself first, learning from your past, rising after every fall, and finding strength and love and connection. It is not always easy. There will be storms that shake you, moments that test you, and days when doubt tries to steal your light. But remember, nothing in this world can take away the power that already lives within you. You are not your mistakes. You are not your pain. You are not the moments that tried to break you. You are the fire that refuses to be put out, the strength that keeps rising, the love that keeps growing. Walk boldly in your purpose. Embrace every part of who you are, and never let anyone or anything make you feel unworthy of the greatness that is meant for you. And as you go forward, do not forget. Love yourself without apology. Leave the past where it belongs. Rise even when it is hard, and let love in. You are enough. You have always been enough. Now, step into the life that is waiting for you. Good luck on your journey, and may you always walk with courage, love, and unshakable belief in yourself. Thank you. My dear friends, there comes a time when we must sit still with the wind and ask ourselves a question so old it rivers. Do we have a right to rule this earth? Or were we simply trusted with a sacred gift and forgot how to hold it gently? I ask you not with anger, but with trembling truth. Do humans have a mandate to dominate nature? We walk this land with 2 feet and call ourselves mighty. We build towers that touch the clouds and dig deep into the heart of the soil as if it were ours to split open. We tame rivers with concrete and silence, the language of the birds with smoke, and still we stand proud, calling it progress, as though the world were a canvas and we the only painters with a brush. But the earth does not belong to us. It cradles us. It feeds us. It shelters us with a love that asks for no reward. Have we forgotten that? The rain does not fall at our command. The sun does not rise because we demand it. The trees do not sway to our schedule, yet we press and pull and push as if this world owes us something, as if the oceans were made to kneel at our feet. But the ocean knows no master. It rolls with a memory older than all of our empires. It roars when we grow too proud. True strength lies not in domination, but in harmony with the natural world. This truth stands quietly behind every sunrise, every tree that grows in silence, and every river that curves with grace. But we, in all our pride and ambition, too often mistake control for strength. We believe that bending nature to our will proves our power. We clear forests, reroute rivers, poison the sky, and call it progress. Yet all the while, nature keeps reminding us that real strength is never loud and never cruel. Real strength sustains. Real strength supports life rather than suppresses it. Look at the ocean. It holds entire worlds beneath its surface, feeds millions, carries the weight of storms, and still it breathes in rhythms that calm the heart. The ocean does not rise to crush us unless we provoke it. It has the strength to destroy, yet chooses instead to nurture. That is power in its most graceful form. Now compare that to human actions. When we dominate, we strip the land, dig deep wounds in the earth, silence the songbirds, and replace living things with lifeless ones. Where is the strength in that? There is fear in domination, fear that without control, we lose value, but harmony comes from a place of understanding, from standing with nature rather than over it. We must see that the tallest tree grows not by conquering the ones beside it, but by reaching for light while still sharing the soil. In the same way, we too must grow, not through conquest, but through coexistence. We can build without breaking. We can learn from the way a forest thrives, every root connected, every branch contributing, nothing wasted, nothing alone. This is the rhythm we were meant to follow. It is not weakness to bend with the wind, it is wisdom. Nature has always known this. We have simply forgot. When we believe that power means dominance, we separate ourselves from the very force that gives us life. We create a divide between ourselves and the earth, between our cities and our rivers, between our convenience and the cost it demands. But when we remember that we are part of the same great design, something shifts. We begin to act with care. We begin to protect not out of guilt, but out of deep reverence. Let us not confuse aggression with courage. It takes courage to protect what cannot speak for itself. It takes strength to walk gently, to preserve the beauty we did not create. And it takes vision to imagine a future where progress does not come at the price of extinction. That future begins with us, with the choices we make today, with the way we treat the soil beneath our feet and the skies above our heads. We were never meant to rule nature. We were meant to reflect its balance in our lives. We were meant to listen more than we speak, to observe before we act, because the world is not a battlefield to win. It is a masterpiece to walk through, to learn from, to protect. And if we can find the grace to live in rhythm with nature rather than against it, then we will finally understand that our truest strength is not in how much we take, but in how deeply we honor what we've been given. We were entrusted with stewardship, not superiority. Somewhere along the road of civilization, we forgot that. We began to see the earth as a resource to consume rather than a relationship to nurture. But the truth is this: we were never crowned kings over nature. We were handed a gift, a living, breathing gift that feeds us, heals us, and holds us. And with that gift came responsibility, not authority. We were never told to conquer. We were asked to care. When a child is handed something precious, something delicate, we don't tell them to break it or bend it to their will. We tell them to be gentle, to pay attention, to treat it with love. That's what stewardship means. It means understanding that the world doesn't revolve around us. It means taking only what we need, giving back more than we take, and remembering always that we are not above this earth, we are of it. But superiority has made us blind. We believe that intelligence gives us permission to dominate, that technology gives us license to destroy. We measure value and profit and progress, but forget that true wealth lies in the air we breathe, the forests that stand, and the rivers that run free. We believe that to rule is to succeed, but what kind of ruler poisons their own kingdom, silences the voices of its creatures, and burns the roots that feed it? Stewardship asks us to walk differently, to move through this world not as masters, but as caretakers. It asks us to pause before we act, to see the ripple before we cast the stone. It asks us to understand the language of the land, the signs in the sky, and the wisdom of the wild. When we step into that role, everything changes. We begin to see the earth not as property, but as partner. We begin to listen, and when we listen, we hear the stories of the soil, the cries of the creatures, and the whispers of the wind. We see the damage that greed has done and the healing that patience can bring. We understand that we are not separate from nature. We are nature. Every cell in our body echoes the rhythms of the planet. We are made of dust and water and light. We are part of the very system we thought we ruled. There is no glory in superiority if it leaves behind silence and sorrow, but there is great honor in stewardship. There is beauty in protecting what we do not fully understand. There is dignity in defending what we did not create. To be a steward is to know that your place is not at the top, but within. To be a steward is to recognize that every living thing has a right to be here just like we do, that the sky is not a ceiling to rise above, but a promise to cherish, that the earth is not a battlefield, but a blessing. And if we can return to that original promise, not to dominate, but to care, then we will begin to build a world that is not only alive, but deeply awake, a world where strength is measured by kindness, and power is defined by protection, a world where we do not seek to own nature, but to walk beside it with reverence and love. Nature thrives in balance, and so must we. Every part of this earth has its role, its rhythm, its reason. The mountains stand not to overshadow the valleys, but to hold space for the rain. The rivers do not rush to escape the land, but to nourish it. The trees do not compete for sky, they grow tall together, each finding light in its own time. That is the quiet intelligence of nature, a dance of give and take, of rise and rest, of strength soften. But we, in our haste to rise, have forgotten that balance. We take and rarely give back. We build without pause, extract without care, and rush forward as though time waits for us alone. We stretch the limits of the earth, pulling more than it can offer and still expecting it to give. Yet even the strongest thread will snap if pulled too far. Even the most fertile land will go barren if we never let it breathe. There is a breaking point, and we are closer to it than we want to admit. We look around and see signs. Floods that come without warning, heat that chokes the air, seasons that no longer follow their own songs. This is not coincidence. It is consequence. Nature is not punishing us. It is responding, trying to correct the imbalance we have caused, trying to speak in ways we might finally hear. Balance is not just a law of nature, it is a law of life. We see it in the beating of a heart, in the rise and fall of breath, in the push and pull of tides. To live out of balance is to live in tension, in confusion, in harm. And the same is true for our relationship with the world around us. When we forget to live in rhythm with nature, we lose a part of ourselves. We begin to move through life as though we are separate from the very forces that shape us. But the truth is we are not separate. We are woven into the same thread. To restore balance means to restore relationship. It means to slow down, to listen, to make space for other forms of life. It means understanding that we don't have to consume endlessly to live fully, that there is beauty in simplicity, wisdom in restraint, power in humility. It means planting where we have cut, preserving where we have built, and protecting what we did not create. And it is not too late. Balance can be restored, not all at once, but choice by choice. We can build homes that honor the land they rest upon. We can create energy that flows with the sun and wind, not against them. We can eat in ways that nourish both our bodies and the earth. Every small act of respect becomes a step toward healing. Because balance is not perfection, it is harmony. It is the art of knowing when to move and when to be still, when to act and when to let nature lead. If we can find that within ourselves, if we can reflect the balance that nature shows us every day, then we will no longer need to dominate. We will no longer need to prove our power. We will live not above the earth, but within it, as part of the great song that never needed a conductor, only quiet respect. Power without compassion leads only to destruction, and yet, for too long, we have wielded our power over nature as if it were a trophy to raise, not a trust to honor. We have mistaken dominance for destiny, control for competence, and exploitation for advancement. But power, when stripped of compassion, becomes blind. It charges ahead without seeing what it tramples. It reaches high without looking down to witness the damage at its roots. It speaks loud but forgets to listen. And that kind of power, no matter how sophisticated, always leaves a trail of silence and loss behind it. Nature has no need for such force. It teaches us something different. Look at the way sunlight filters through leaves, not burning them, but feeding them. Look at how the rain does not strike the ground in anger, but softens it to receive. Even the fiercest storm does not last forever. It gives way to stillness, to new life, to growth. Nature shows us that power paired with compassion is not weak, it is wide, it is enduring, it is life-giving. But we have too often chosen a different path. We poison rivers to fuel factories. We cage animals in the name of entertainment. We scorch forests for short-lived gain. All of this done in the name of power, of progress, of control. But progress that does not consider what it costs is not progress at all. It is an illusion, one that leaves deserts where gardens once grew. And in the end, that kind of power turns against us. Because when we harm the earth, we harm ourselves. The air we dirty is the air we breathe. The food we taint is the food we eat. The silence we force upon nature becomes the silence of our own spirit. Compassion asks something more of us. It asks us to lead not with fear, but with understanding. To build not for domination, but for coexistence. It asks us to look into the eyes of every living thing and see not something beneath us, but something beside us. It asks us to remember that this world is not ours to rule, but to respect. Compassion slows us down. It opens our eyes. It reminds us that even the smallest creature has a place in this vast design. And when we act with that kind of care, our power takes on a different shape. It becomes a force for healing, for restoration, for peace. Imagine a world where our power was measured not by what we could destroy, but by what we could protect. A world where forests were valued more than factories, where water was honored as sacred, not sold as profit, where animals lived not in cages, but in freedom. That world is not beyond us. It begins with us, with the choices we make, with the values we teach, with the hearts we open. True power does not shout, it does not strike, it does not seek to control. True power nurtures, it uplifts, it listens. And when we move through this earth with that kind of spirit, we no longer need to dominate nature. We become part of its grace. We become part of its strength. And in that, we find something far greater than control. We find purpose. The earth does not belong to us. We belong to the earth. It is a truth as ancient as the stars and as steady as the tide. Yet somewhere along our journey, we flipped the truth on its head. We began to treat the world as if it were a possession, a prize, something to own and reshape at will. We forgot that we came from the dust and will return to it. We forgot that the ground we walk on has held life long before our footprints and will hold it long after we are gone. We build monuments and cities and carve our names into mountains, thinking we've claimed something eternal. But the wind erases, the sea reclaims, and the earth continues on. It is not ours to possess. It is ours to walk humbly upon, to learn from, to protect. The land does not belong to us just because we map it or fence it or pave it. A tree does not stop being a miracle because it stands in a garden we planted. A river does not lose its soul because we gave it a name. These things live with or without us. They're not beneath us. They're not waiting for our approval. Belonging to the earth means we are part of something larger, something older, something wiser. We are not the center. We are a thread in the fabric. We are breath in the wind. And when we understand that, truly understand it, our actions begin to change. We no longer see nature as something to bend, but something to honor. We begin to understand that to belong means to respect, to listen, to give thanks. It humbles us to know we are guests here, that every fruit we eat, every drop of water we drink, every shelter that shields us is a gift, not a guarantee. And with that gift comes responsibility. Belonging is not passive. It calls us to care, to clean the air not for profit, but for breath, to protect the forests, not because they are useful, but because they are sacred, to preserve the oceans, not because we fear the loss of fish, but because we respect the life it holds. We have spent too long separating ourselves from the world that made us. We act as if we are above it, yet we are made of it. The calcium in our bones, the iron in our blood, the water in our cells, all drawn from the earth, all return to it in the end. We are not visitors. We are children of this planet. And no child owns their parent. They love, they protect, they learn. If we can return to that place of belonging, we will begin to live differently. We will plant not just for harvest, but for harmony. We will build not just for comfort, but with care. We will teach not just science, but reverence. And we will remember that every act of respect toward the earth is an act of healing for ourselves. To belong is to know that we are part of the story, not the author of it. The earth is not a backdrop to our ambition. It is the very stage on which life dances. And if we choose to belong with reverence instead of ruling with arrogance, we will find that the world is not something to conquer, it is something to cherish. Our legacy will be measured by what we preserve, not what we control. Time has always been the true storyteller. It does not remember the ones who claimed the most, but the ones who cared the most. When we are gone, the earth will not hold on to our titles, our wealth, or our machines. It will hold on to the trees we let stand, the water we kept clean, the air we left breathable for the ones who come after us. That is the mark we leave behind, not in monuments of stone, but in the quiet continuance of life. We are living in a moment where we must decide how we will be remembered. Will we be known as the generation that took and took until there was nothing left, or will we be known as the ones who turned back to the earth with open hands and listening hearts? Control might build temporary empires, but preservation builds eternity. It sustains beauty. It protects wonder. It keeps the song of the world alive long after our voices fade. To preserve is not to pause progress. It is to define progress with wisdom. What use is a tower if the ground beneath it cannot breathe? What value is a road that leads through silence where birds once sang? We cannot build a future by draining the present dry, and we must remember that what we save speaks louder than what we destroy. A tree left standing tells a story of care. A species still alive tells a story of hope. A clean stream tells a story of choices made with love. Preservation is not passive. It is powerful. It is a bold refusal to surrender to greed. It is a daily decision to do less harm and offer more healing. It is saying no to waste, to excess, to mindless consumption. It is saying yes to renewal, to restoration, to restraint. And in that restraint, we find depth. We find meaning, because the world does not need our control. It needs our commitment, not our domination, but our devotion. And legacy is not built all at once. It is built in moments. In every seed planted, in every wild place left untouched, in every child taught to love the earth before they learn to use it. It is built in the way we speak about nature, not as a thing, but as a relative. not as scenery, but as soul. When we shift our words, our actions will follow. And when our actions shift, the world responds. The soil becomes richer, the air becomes sweeter, the balance returns. Let us not wait for a crisis to remind us of what matters. Let us not pass on to future generations only the wreckage of our ambition. Let us hand them lakes that still reflect the sky. Let us leave behind forests that still echo with life. Let us be the ancestors they thank, not the ones they mourn. Because one day they will look back at this moment and ask what we chose. Let our answer be one of courage. Let it be one of compassion. We will not be remembered for how much we owned, but how much we honored. Not for how much we ruled, but how much we revered. That is the legacy worth leaving, one where the earth is still singing and the children still hear it. So now we return to the question that brought us here. Do humans have a mandate to dominate nature? And the answer, whispered through every leaf, every river, every breath we take, is no. We were never called to dominate, but to dwell in reverence. We were chosen not to rule, but to remember that true strength lies in harmony, that responsibility is greater than superiority, that balance is not weakness, but wisdom. We must lead with compassion, not control. We must belong to the earth, not claim it. And above all, we must build a legacy not of destruction, but of devotion. Let us rise, not as conquerors, but as caretakers. Let our power be soft enough to protect and strong enough to preserve. Let the generations to come walk this earth not in the shadow of our mistakes, but in the light of our choices. You hold that choice. I hold it. We all do. So walk forward with open eyes and open hearts. Speak gently, act boldly, and wherever life takes you, may you walk close to the ground and even closer to truth. Good luck on your journey, and thank you for listening. Good morning, everyone. Do you talk to yourself? I hope you do. I pray you do. Because inside that sacred conversation, behind the curtain of all that noise, lies the whisper of your truest self. The world may shout, it may pull at you with greedy fingers, trying to shape you in its image. But your inner voice is not here to imitate. It is here to remind, to restore, to raise up what the world has tried to bury. There is power in the voice you carry within, the voice that speaks when you are all alone, when the lights are dimmed and the stage is bare. That voice is your anchor, your compass, your shelter in the storm. And yes, sometimes it trembles, sometimes it doubts, sometimes it wears the scars of things it never asked for. But even then, it does not lie. It reflects back the truth that you are still standing. And if you are standing, you can walk. And if you can walk, child, you can rise. Talking to yourself is not madness, it is medicine. It is not weakness, it is wisdom. When you speak to yourself, you are choosing to meet your soul where it lives. You are not waiting for the world to affirm you. You are doing the work of your own healing with your own words. You tell yourself, I am not what they said I was. I am not the echo of broken promises. I am the living word. I am the fire in the ashes. I am the bloom in the desert. You say, I have fallen, yes, but I have not failed. I have cried, yes, but I have not quit. You talk to yourself not to escape the world, but to remind yourself who you are in it. Harnessing your inner voice does not come from shouting over the noise. It comes from listening deeply, with reverence, with grace. You must lean in close. You must learn to speak to yourself like someone you love, someone you respect, someone you trust, because your soul is listening. Your inner voice is not your weakness. It is your greatest guide when spoken to with truth and kindness. Too often we are told to ignore that voice inside us, to hush it down like a child making noise in a quiet room. But that voice, the one that speaks when no one else is watching, is not a thing to be feared or dismissed. It is a sacred presence. It is the steady drum beneath your ribs, reminding you who you are, beneath the masks, beneath the noise, beneath the weight of expectation. The world will always try to name you before you can name yourself. It will call you less than. It will call you too much. It will say you are not enough of this or too full of that. But your inner voice is the one that looks back at the mirror and says, I am here. I have breath. I have purpose. I may be tired, but I am not through. I may be bruised, but I am not broken. I may be quiet, but I am not invisible. The secret, child, is not in silencing that voice, but in learning how to speak to it. Not with judgment, not with cruelty, but with kindness so deep it feels like sunlight on the skin after a long night. Speak truth to your own soul. Tell it the stories of how far you have come. Tell it how you stood when you could have fallen. Tell it how you stayed when you could have run. Tell it how you have grown roots, even in dry places. Your inner voice becomes your guide, not when it echoes fear, but when it reflects love. Some days you will look around and no one will understand what you carry. That is when your voice inside must become your friend. You sit with it like you would with someone you cherish. You remind yourself, I am still learning. I am still rising. I do not have to be perfect to be powerful. I do not have to have all the answers to be enough. And in that moment, you are not lost. You are listening. This is not about pretending everything is fine. No, this is about being honest with yourself in a way the world often forgets how to be. When you feel weary, you tell yourself it is okay to rest. When you feel afraid, you remind yourself you have faced fear before and walked through it. When doubt creeps in, you hold your own hand with words that soothe, not sting, and slowly that voice becomes a lighthouse. It becomes a compass. It becomes the rhythm you follow when the world goes dim. You see, you cannot harness a voice you do not honor. You must meet it each day with softness and courage, not only when you feel strong, but especially when you do not. Speak gently, speak faithfully, speak like you know someone precious is listening, because someone is, and that someone is you. Let your inner voice be a reflection of the love you seek and the strength you hold. Make it a place of peace in a world that sometimes forgets how to be gentle. And in doing so, you will not only rise, you will help others rise too, simply by the way you carry your own soul with grace. Because when you speak to yourself with truth and kindness, you do not just survive. You become the very home your spirit has always longed for. Talking to yourself is the first step toward building unshakable self-trust. In a world that constantly pulls you in 100 directions, where voices outside you often try to tell you who you are, there is something powerful in returning to your own. That quiet, unfiltered voice within is not a stranger. It is the beginning of a relationship that can anchor you through the shifting winds of life. You cannot build trust with anyone if you do not speak with them, and the same is true for yourself. When you begin talking to yourself, you are starting a conversation that says, I see you, I hear you, I will not leave you behind. This is not about performance. This is not about saying all the right things. This is about presence. It is about showing up for your own soul day after day, even when the rest of the world forgets to. There may be days when your inner voice shakes. There may be mornings when it sounds uncertain, unsure, maybe even a little afraid. That is all right. Trust is not built through perfection. It is built through consistency. Every time you speak kindly to yourself when you fail, you are building trust. Every time you tell yourself the truth, even when it is uncomfortable, you are building trust. Every time you say, I will not abandon myself, you are laying the foundation for something unbreakable. We are taught to doubt ourselves before we are taught to believe. We are taught to seek answers outside instead of listening in. But self-trust is not born from what others say about you. It is born from the quiet promises you keep with yourself. It is in the little moments. When you say you will try again tomorrow, and you do. When you fall and choose to turn away with kindness instead of shame. When you look in the mirror and refuse to turn away. Yes, some days you will fall short. Some days you will speak words to yourself that carry too much weight, too much blame, too much pain. But the beauty of talking to yourself is that you can also choose to begin again. You can rewrite the script. You can say, I forgive you. You can say, you did your best today, and that is enough. And slowly, those small choices become a bond, and that bond becomes a lifeline. This is how you learn to trust your intuition, how you learn to walk into rooms without shrinking, how you learn to make decisions without constantly seeking validation. It is because you have already been listening to the one voice that has always mattered, the one that comes from within. And when that voice grows strong and steady, you begin to carry yourself differently, not with arrogance, but with peace, not with noise, but with knowing. There is a kind of power that comes from being rooted in your own truth. It is not loud, it does not shout, it hums like a quiet stream under the surface. That power begins the moment you start speaking to yourself with intention, with care, with commitment. Not once, but always. Talk to yourself. Ask how you are feeling. Remind yourself what is real. Reassure your spirit that it is safe in your hands. Build that bond, nurture it, and protect it. Because when you trust yourself, you can withstand anything. And when your inner voice becomes your most loyal friend, the world cannot shake what you know to be true. The words you whisper within become the foundation of the strength you show to the world. Every time you speak to yourself, whether in silence or out loud, you are laying bricks. Bricks made of belief, of courage, of doubt, of hope. And over time, those bricks shape the ground you walk on. That ground is your inner strength. And no matter how much the world may try to shake it, if it is built with truth and care, it will hold you. It will carry you. The world may see your smile, your resilience, your boldness, but it is what happens in the quiet that keeps it alive. It is the voice that tells you to rise when you feel low, the one that says you have been here before and you came through. The voice that lifts you from the floor when no one else notices you have fallen. This is the voice that reminds you that your strength does not come from noise. It comes from how you talk to yourself when nobody else is around to listen. What you whisper becomes what you believe. What you believe becomes what you carry, and what you carry becomes the way you stand, the way you speak, the way you live. If you tell yourself you are unworthy, you begin to walk like it. If you tell yourself you are not enough, your spirit begins to shrink. But if you speak words of truth, if you speak love into your own bones, your body remembers how to rise, your soul remembers how to shine. So speak wisely, speak gently. Speak as though every word is shaping the road ahead of you, because it is. Strength is not always born in fire. Sometimes it is born in the whisper that says, keep going. Sometimes it grows from the simple sentence, I am proud of you. We spend so much time waiting for others to see us, to validate us, to lift us. But real power begins when we choose to speak those words to ourselves. Think of the times you stood tall after being torn down. Think of the nights you held your own hand when the tears would not stop. You may not have realized it, but in those moments, your inner voice was working, building you up, holding you together, reminding you that even broken pieces can stand when love is spoken into them. We cannot control what others say. We cannot rewrite every memory or soften every blow, but we can decide what we say to ourselves when the world turns cold. That is where the shift begins. That is where healing starts. You are not weak for needing encouragement. You are wise for knowing where to find it. And the most lasting kind is the kind you give yourself. Do not wait for someone else to say what you long to hear. Say it now. Say it to yourself. I am strong. I am still here. I have not come this far to give up. Let those words be your steady ground. Let them shape the way you rise in the morning and how you carry yourself through the day. Let them flow through your breath until your body believes it, until your heart trusts it, until your soul finds peace in it. Your strength does not begin with applause. It begins in the silence when you dare to speak life into your own name. When you speak to yourself with love, you teach your soul how to heal and rise. That kind of love is not loud, it is not flashy, it is steady. It is deep. It is the kind that speaks when the world is silent. It says, you are still worthy, even now. You are still beautiful, even here. You may have fallen, you may have cried, you may have been forgotten by the very people you once held close, but your inner voice can remind you that you are never truly alone, not when love lives inside you. Healing does not begin with answers, it begins with care. It begins with how you respond to your own pain. Do you shame it? Do you silence it? Or do you sit with it and speak softly, the way you would to someone you love? That is the question, because your soul is listening. It is always listening. And when you choose to speak gently, with compassion and honesty, your soul learns to breathe again. Most of us have spent years speaking to ourselves in the language of comparison, criticism, and fear. We talk down to ourselves more often than we realize. We carry harsh words like heavy stones in our chest. But love, when spoken inward, does not weigh you down. It lifts, it opens, it wraps itself around the parts of you that still ache and says, you are allowed to feel this. You are allowed to grow from this. You are allowed to begin again. Speaking to yourself with love does not mean pretending everything is fine. It means saying, even though things are not fine, I still choose to be kind to myself. You can hold pain and love in the same breath. You can be healing and hurting all at once and still rise with grace. That is the miracle of inner love. It does not erase the wounds. It teaches you how to walk with them without being broken by them. You may look at your reflection and not always see someone who feels whole. But when your voice becomes soft and steady, when it stops demanding and starts embracing, you begin to shift. You begin to stand a little taller. You begin to believe that maybe, just maybe, you are not too much. You are not too late. You are not beyond mending. You are human, and being human is holy. The love you speak to yourself becomes the way you navigate the world. It changes how you allow others to treat you. It changes the boundaries you set. It changes the way you recover from failure and how you celebrate your own joy. Because when love is planted deep within, it grows in every direction. It touches every choice you make, every step you take, every dream you dare to hold. You do not need to wait for someone else to give you permission to heal. You can begin now with your own voice. You can speak to the small hurting part of you and say, you are safe with me. I will not turn away. I will love you through this. And something shifts, something softens, something rises. Is when your inner voice becomes love, your whole life begins to bloom from the inside out. Harnessing your inner voice means turning self-doubt into self-direction. That doubt, the one that whispers you're not ready, you're not good enough, you don't belong, that voice has been with you longer than it should, but you are not meant to be ruled by it. You are meant to rise above it, to look it in the eye and say, thank you for your worry, but I am choosing a different path today. You see, self-doubt is not always your enemy. Sometimes it is just the part of you that has been hurt, the part that still fears being wrong, being rejected, being seen. It speaks in caution. It speaks in hesitation. But if you listen carefully and speak back with intention, you can guide it toward purpose. You can take what once held you back and turn it into what moves you forward. The truth is, the inner voice is not meant to be silenced. It is meant to be shaped. You shape it with your choices, with your attention, with your words. When that voice says, you can't, you can teach it to say, you can try. When it says you will fail, you can remind it, you will learn. That shift, that small turn of phrase, that gentle redirection, that is where strength begins, not in silencing fear, but in choosing how to respond to it. Talking to yourself is not just about affirmations. It is about leadership. It is about standing at the crossroads of doubt and possibility and choosing to walk anyway. It is about becoming the voice you wish someone else had been for you, the one that does not mock your mistakes but helps you make sense of them, the one that does not dwell in your fear but gently nudges you to keep moving. We wait so long for clarity, for certainty, for a sign that we are ready. But clarity often comes after the first step, not before. And your inner voice, when harnessed with care and consistency, becomes that quiet coach beside you, saying, keep going, you're learning, you're growing, you're doing just fine. That kind of voice builds momentum. It helps you turn decisions into direction, direction into confidence, and confidence into action. You do not have to know the full path to take the next step. You only have to be willing to speak to yourself like someone who matters, like someone with a future, like someone who deserves to move forward, even with doubt riding in the back seat. Because you are not erasing fear, you are simply refusing to let it drive. And over time, that becomes your habit. Instead of asking, can I? You begin to ask, how will I? Instead of saying, I don't think I should, you say, I trust myself enough to try. These are not just thoughts. These are decisions. They shape the way you build your life. They shape the way you treat yourself through failure and how you celebrate yourself in success. So take hold of that inner voice, redirect it, teach it, be patient with it. It may have learned doubt from the world, but it can learn direction from you. Speak clearly, speak kindly, speak with purpose. Because when your inner voice becomes a guide instead of a critic, there's nothing that can hold you back. You are not lost when you listen inward. You are learning to lead from within. The world may call it strange when you pause in silence, when you sit quietly and speak to yourself, when you lean into the hush rather than the noise. But there is something holy in that stillness. There is something powerful in turning down the outside volume and tuning into your soul. The answers you seek, the direction you crave, the strength you long to feel, it all begins there in that soft inward space that belongs only to you. We are taught to seek validation before we are taught to seek our own voice. We are taught to chase approval, to measure our worth by what others see, what others say. But you do not find yourself out there. You find yourself in here, in the quiet rhythm of your own breath, in the words you say when the crowd is gone. You are not lost when you stop running and begin listening. You are not confused when you stop following and begin feeling. You are instead remembering. Leading from within does not always look loud. It does not need a spotlight or a stage. It begins with the decision to trust what you hear inside, even when it does not yet make sense to others. It is the moment when you say, I know what I feel, I know what I need, I know what I am here to become. And that kind of knowing, that deep certainty, only grows when you are still long enough to hear it. Talking to yourself is not just self-care, it is self-leadership. It is the sacred act of being honest, of checking in, of giving yourself permission to choose. You do not need to have all the answers. You only need to begin asking the right questions. What do I want? What do I need to let go of? What voice have I allowed to silence mine? These questions will guide you, not away from yourself, but closer to who you already are. There will be days when the inner voice is faint, days when the noise outside is louder than the truth within. That is when you pause. That is when you breathe and listen again. You do not abandon yourself because things got confusing. You stay. You stay in the silence. You stay in the process. You stay until your own voice becomes clear again. That is how you lead yourself home. This kind of leadership cannot be faked. It cannot be borrowed. It cannot be rushed. It is cultivated. It is earned through presence, through repetition. through the way you return to your own truth again and again, even when it shakes, even when it trembles, even when it tells you to walk a path no one else understands. Especially then, because when you lead from within, your life begins to align. You begin to choose differently. You begin to speak differently. You begin to walk with a quiet strength that no storm can steal. Not because you never feel lost, but because you have learned where to return when you do. That is not weakness, that is wisdom. So talk to yourself, return to yourself, trust that your soul already knows the way. You are not lost, you are listening, you are learning, you are rising. And that right there is how the journey begins. So now, take a moment, let the noise fall away, and listen, not to the world, not to the fear, not to the doubt, but to that steady, quiet voice within you, the one that has always been there waiting for your attention. Speak to it gently, lead it with love, shape it with truth, because your inner voice is not just a sound inside your mind. It is the foundation of your strength, the keeper of your courage, the root of your becoming. Every time you choose to speak to yourself with honesty, kindness, and care, you are not just surviving, you are rising. You are learning to lead from the inside out. And once you begin that journey inward, there is no limit to how far you can go outward. Trust your voice, let it grow, let it guide, let it carry you. Good luck on your path, and thank you for walking this part of the journey with me. Good evening, everyone. There comes a moment in each of our lives when we stand still and wonder, am I enough? We look at the world moving fast, spinning stories of glittering success, flashing trophies, applauding crowds, and we chase it. We run ourselves ragged trying to catch what we think will make us whole. But I tell you now, child, don't chase success, chase growth. Because it is not the spotlight that shapes your soul. It is the quiet rising, the slow blooming, the daily reaching. See, people will clap for the finished product, but they won't stay long enough to watch the seed push through dirt. They don't cheer for the early mornings or the nights you cried yourself into wisdom. They don't see how your knees bled from all the falling and all the getting back up. But I see it. And more importantly, you see it. You know what you've walked through? You walked through it. 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 You walked through. You know how many times you wanted to give up, yet still kept walking? Success, that's a moment, a peak. But growth is movement. Growth is breath. Growth is soul. It's when you learn how to forgive yourself for being a beginner. It's when you learn to clap for your own progress, even if no one else hears the sound. It's when you stop asking the world to approve your journey and start honoring it yourself. Now listen close, because there will be days when you feel like you're behind, when others seem to be shining and you feel like you're sinking. But baby, flowers don't bloom in the same season, and still the garden is beautiful. You must water your own roots. You must tend to your own soil, because the truth is, there's no shortcut to becoming. Success is a destination. Growth is a journey that never ends. And far too many of us have been taught to run toward the destination like it's the only thing that matters. We're told to chase medals, status, money, titles, things that can be seen, touched, counted. But in that chase, something sacred is often lost. We lose the wonder of the process, the beauty of our becoming, and the quiet dignity of transformation. When you fix your eyes only on the finish line, you forget the importance of every step that leads there. Success may reward you with a moment of applause, but growth whispers to your soul every day. It's there in the mornings you rise even when your heart feels heavy. It's there in the nights you reflect, stumble, and try again. It's in the conversations that make you question your old beliefs and in the decisions that stretch your comfort zone. Growth is steady, often unseen, but always present. And unlike success, it doesn't vanish when the moment passes. It stays, it strengthens, it becomes part of you. The truth is, success can be taken away. Fame fades, money runs out, positions change, but who you become through the process of growing, that is yours to keep. That is the real treasure. Because growth doesn't depend on applause. It doesn't need a trophy to be valid. It shows up in how you treat others when no one is watching, in how you handle disappointment without bitterness. Success, happiness, in how you handle disappointment without bitterness, in how you evolve from each failure instead of being defined by it. When we chase success alone, we become anxious about outcomes. We fear not reaching the goal. We compare ourselves to others and measure our worth by timelines that don't belong to us. But when we chase growth, we shift our focus inward. We begin to ask, am I learning? Am I becoming better, wiser, more grounded than I was yesterday? That shift changes everything because the path becomes the purpose, not just the prize at the end. You begin to honor the small wins. You start to notice the quiet strength building in your chest. You learn to appreciate the version of you that kept showing up, especially when things weren't easy. That is growth. That is grace. And that is power. Real, lasting power. See, success is often about what the world can see, but growth is about what only you can feel. It happens in private, in silence, and struggle. It happens when you choose discipline over distraction, when you stop running from pain and start learning from it, when you let go of who you were so you can become who you're meant to be. And here's the miracle. When you truly commit to growth, success starts to follow you, not because you chased it, but because you became someone it couldn't ignore. You stopped pretending and started becoming. You stopped performing and started evolving. And in that evolution, you became unshakable. So don't let the world rush you into a race that isn't yours. Don't let the pressure to be seen rob you of the process to be whole. Focus on becoming, on unfolding, on rising through the layers of your own becoming. Let growth be your pursuit, and let success be the shadow that follows your light. Because in the end, the journey you walk to grow is far richer than any finish line you'll ever cross. Chasing growth builds character. Chasing success often builds ego. That's the truth we don't hear enough. We live in a world that glorifies the final result, but rarely speaks about the inner strength it takes to get there. The glitter of success is loud, it shines, it pulls people in, but the quiet work of growth, that deep, unseen internal effort, is what truly defines who we are becoming. Growth makes you honest with yourself. It humbles you, teaches you, stretches you. It molds your character not for the world's approval, but for your soul's alignment. When we chase success, we often begin to build our identity around how we are perceived. We crave validation. We measure our value by numbers, by status, applause, recognition. It becomes about being seen more than being real. And with every nod of approval, the ego inflates. But ego is fragile. It thrives on the surface but crumbles under pressure. And when that surface cracks, we find ourselves lost because we've built a life that looks good on the outside but feels empty within. But growth doesn't care how things look, it cares how things feel. It asks the hard questions. It pushes you to confront your truth. It doesn't hand you a stage, it gives you a mirror. Growth says, who are you when no one's clapping? It asks, can you still show up when nobody's watching? And those answers form the foundation of real character. The kind of character that keeps standing when things fall apart. The kind of character that doesn't need a spotlight to shine. In the pursuit of success, it's easy to become obsessed with image. We begin to protect appearances more than values. But when you chase growth, you begin to protect your integrity instead. You realize that it's better to be aligned than admired. You understand that being true to yourself matters more than being liked by others. And that is a different kind of freedom, a deeper kind of power. Growth requires humility. It requires you to admit when you're wrong, to learn from your mistakes, to keep evolving even when it's uncomfortable. Success rarely demands that. In fact, success often tempts us to believe we've arrived. It whispers that we've got it all figured out. But growth always knows there's more to learn, more to give, more to become. That's why character built through growth stands tall when success fades. Because it was never built on applause, but on inner truth. And here's the quiet magic. When your character grows strong, grounded and rooted in truth, you naturally begin to attract a deeper kind of success. Not the shallow kind that disappears when times get hard, but the kind that reflects who you truly are. You become dependable. You become trustworthy. You become resilient. Not because you chase titles, but because you chose growth every time life gave you a choice. Don't fall into the trap of seeking validation to prove your worth. Choose the path that refines you from the inside out. Let the world chase ego, but you chase growth. You are born to hit a bottle. You become selfless. You become selfless. You become insistent. You become special. You become kind. You become selfless. You become selfless. You become self-centered. You become selfish. Because while ego may impress the crowd, it is character that holds your life together when the lights go out. And when the world sees what you've built, let it be clear. It wasn't ego that carried you. It was growth that raised you. Grow through what you go through. Every setback is a seed for strength. Life will break you open. That's just what it does. It will test you, stretch you, push you farther than you think you can go. And sometimes you will fall. You will hurt. You will wonder if the pain has any purpose at all. But if you pay attention, if you breathe through the weight of those moments instead of running from them, you'll see that the breaking is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming. Pain can be a great teacher when you allow it to speak. Failure can be fertile ground when you stop seeing it as final. Growth isn't born out of perfection. It's born out of process, out of trial, out of stumbling, learning, and standing again. And every time you go through something hard, something you didn't ask for, didn't expect, didn't think you could survive, you're given a choice. And if you choose to grow through it, you don't just survive, you rise. When the storms come, they don't come to destroy you. Sometimes they come to clear the path, to shake loose what no longer belongs, to reveal the strength you forgot you had, to strip away the surface so you can build something real, because what you go through refines you. It teaches you who you are beneath the layers, beneath the expectation, beneath the pressure to look like you've got it all together. It reminds you that even in your hardest season, you are not finished. You are forming. Too often we think the path to success is straight, clean, predictable. But that's a lie. Real growth is messy. It's full of detours, breakdowns, lost battles, and quiet victories. The setback isn't a detour from your journey. It is the journey. It's in the moments you didn't plan for that you become who you were meant to be. Because nothing stretches the soul like struggle. Nothing teaches compassion like pain. Nothing builds resilience like having to get back up when it would be easier to stay down. You begin to learn that your worth isn't tied to your wins, that your value doesn't disappear when things fall apart. You discover that you are capable of more than you ever imagined, not in spite of what you've gone through, but because of it. And that shift changes everything. Suddenly, you're not ashamed of your past, you're empowered by it. You no longer try to hide your scars, you show them with pride, knowing they are the proof that you grew. Growth through adversity doesn't just make you stronger, it makes you kinder, softer in spirit, but sharper in truth. It gives you eyes to see others with more grace. It deepens your roots so that when life shakes again, and it will, you remain grounded, not because life is easier, but because you are stronger. So when setbacks come, and they will, don't just go through them, grow through them. Ask yourself what the pain is trying to teach you. Listen to what the struggle is shaping in you. Let every difficulty deepen your character, expand your faith, stretch your courage. Because your journey is not about escaping hardship, it's about rising through it. And with each rise, you will carry a new strength, one that wasn't given, but earned. One that came not from chasing success, but from walking through fire and choosing to grow anyway. True fulfillment comes not from the spotlight, but from your personal evolution. There's a deep hunger in the human heart to be seen, to be recognized, to be celebrated. And there's nothing wrong with wanting your efforts to matter. But the danger comes when you begin to believe that your worth depends on external applause. Because the truth is, fulfillment doesn't arrive with claps or crowds. It grows quietly within you as you stretch and expand into your truest self. You can reach the top of a mountain and still feel empty if you climbed it only for others to see you. You can wear the crown and still feel hollow if you earned it trying to prove your value to the world. But when you grow, when you evolve, you begin to find fulfillment in your inner transformation. It doesn't need to be broadcast. It doesn't beg for attention. It just settles into your bones and reminds you that you're becoming more whole, more honest, more alive with every step you take. Fulfillment is found when you honor your growth over your image. When you wake up and feel proud of the person you're becoming, not because the world told you so, but because you know deep down that you're living with purpose. That's where peace lives. Not in the spotlight, but in the quiet confidence of someone who has done the work. And yet we live in a world that screams for attention, a world that praises the loudest, the flashiest, the most followed. It's easy to fall into the trap of measuring your life in likes and comparisons, but that path leads to chasing shadows, success that looks good but doesn't feel good. The spotlight is bright, yes, but it's also blinding, and often it hides the very growth that matters most. Personal evolution is slow. It's not always glamorous. It doesn't come with fanfare or medals. Sometimes it looks like saying no when it would be easier to say yes. Sometimes it looks like walking away from what you once begged for. It looks like healing old wounds, breaking patterns, setting boundaries, and telling the truth, even when your voice shakes. That kind of growth doesn't always make headlines, but it changes your life. When you evolve, you become more anchored in yourself. You stop needing constant validation because you found value in your journey. You stop chasing people, places, and things to feel complete because you've built that wholeness from the inside out. And that kind of fulfillment, rooted in self-awareness, courage, and truth, can't be taken away by circumstances. It stays with you, even in silence. The spotlight might catch your image, but it will never capture your essence. That's something only growth can do, because growth invites you to meet yourself again and again. It challenges you to rise not just for the world, but for your own soul. It helps you find joy in progress, even when perfection feels far away. And slowly, you begin to realize you're not chasing success anymore. You're chasing peace, purpose, wholeness. And that shift, that's where the real gold is. So take your eyes off the spotlight, turn inward, listen to who you're becoming, honor your personal evolution, even when no one else sees it. Because true fulfillment isn't found in the moment they applaud. It's found in the moment you realize you no longer need them to. When you focus on growth, success becomes a natural byproduct. It's easy to get caught up in the race, the pressure to perform, to get ahead, to reach that big goal that will finally prove your worth. We are conditioned to believe that success is the ultimate destination and that everything we do should be aimed at winning, achieving, climbing. But when your eyes are only fixed on the outcome, you forget the power of the process. You miss the quiet miracle of becoming. Growth, on the other hand, centers you. It brings you back to what truly matters, not just what you're chasing, but who you are becoming while you chase it. And here's the beautiful paradox. When you shift your focus from outcome to evolution, from reward to refinement, you begin to move differently. You start building the kind of habits, values, and mindset that naturally create long-lasting success. You stop performing and start transforming. Success is a result. It's the echo of effort, the reflection of your growth. It's not something you catch by running directly toward it. It's something that follows you when you're committed to becoming better, stronger, wiser every day. You don't have to beg for it. You don't have to force it. You don't have to force that. You don't have to be the best. But when you are aligned with growth, success begins to orbit your energy because you're no longer chasing it from a place of lack. You're becoming someone it cannot ignore. And what's more, when success arrives this way, organically, gradually, honestly, it feels different. It sits differently in your spirit. It doesn't make you anxious. It doesn't feel like a mask you're wearing. It feels like a celebration of the person you've grown into. And that's the kind of success that stays. That's the kind of success that doesn't crumble when things get hard, because it wasn't built on shortcuts. It was built on substance.
The danger of chasing success alone is that it becomes addictive. It needs to be fed constantly. Every win feels good for a moment, but then you need the next one. And the next, it's a cycle that never really fills you. But when you pursue growth, you begin to understand that each step forward, no matter how small, is a win. You learn to celebrate your inner victories. You recognize your quiet strength. You give yourself credit not just for what you've achieved, but for how far you've come. And that shift in mindset, that deep-rooted understanding that your value lies in your development, not just your achievements, frees you. It frees you from comparison, from doubt, from the fear of not being enough. You stop looking sideways and start looking inward. You become so focused on evolving that the noise of the world loses its power over you. So let success come when it comes. Let it knock on your door when the time is right. Don't chase it with desperation. Instead, build yourself, sharpen your mind, strengthen your heart, deepen your discipline. Show up every day not because the world is watching, but because you are growing into someone you're proud of. That's the kind of power no title can give you, and no loss can take away. In the end, success will meet you on the road of growth, not the road of rush. Growth teaches you to rise from failure. Success teaches you to fear it. That's the contrast we don't talk about enough. When we're so focused on chasing success, we start to build our self-worth around wins. We begin to fear anything that threatens that image, especially failure. We avoid risks, stay in safe places, and play roles we've outgrown because we're terrified of falling, of being seen in the middle of the mess. But when you're rooted in growth, you learn to face failure differently. You stop fearing it and start listening to it. You start seeing it as a stepping stone, not a center. A failure becomes less about shame and more about shaping. You recognize that every misstep carries a message, every fall holds a lesson, and every disappointment is a doorway to deeper strength. Growth invites you to sit with your struggles, to explore what they're teaching you instead of running from them. And in that space you begin to rise, not in spite of your failures, but because of them. Success often comes with pressure to maintain the image. Once you've achieved something, there's a quiet fear of losing it. You begin to play small to protect your place. But growth asks you to let go of the need for perfection. It says, try anyway. It says, risk again. It whispers, you are not defined by the fall, but by the rise. When you embrace growth, you begin to take bold steps because you understand that even if you fall, you will get back up stronger than before. That's a powerful shift. Because life doesn't hand you straight lines. It gives you curves and cliffs and unexpected turns. And the more you fear failure, the more fragile you become in the face of challenge. But when you grow, truly grow, you become resilient. You stop breaking under pressure. You start bending with it. You stop hiding your wounds and begin honoring the strength it took to heal them. Growth builds something in you that success can never offer. Grit. The kind of quiet confidence that comes from being knocked down and choosing to rise anyway. It's in the moments no one sees, the private battles, the quiet decisions, the messy middle, that your strength is formed. You don't learn who you are when everything goes right. You learn who you are when everything goes wrong, and you decide to keep going. This is why chasing growth is so much richer, so much more sustaining than chasing success. Because success may give you applause, but growth gives you armor. Success may open doors, but growth gives you the courage to walk through them. And when failure inevitably comes, and it always does, it's not the accolades that carry you, it's the growth. It's the inner resilience. It's the voice inside that says, I've been here before, and I know how to rise. You begin to realize that failure doesn't mean the end. It often marks the beginning of something truer. You stop fearing the stumble because you trust your ability to recover. And that trust, that unshakable belief in your ability to evolve through anything, is what will carry you farther than any title ever could. So let failure come, let it teach you, let it refine you. And when it does, stand tall in the knowledge that you are not here to be perfect. You are here to grow. And growth always knows how to rise. So as we stand at the edge of our ambitions, let us not be swept away by the glitter of temporary success. Let us not lose ourselves in chasing applause, titles, or validation. Instead, may we choose the quieter, deeper path, the path of growth. Because when you grow, you evolve. And when you evolve, you rise. Not once, but again and again. Through failure, through change, through silence, through struggle. You keep rising. Let your journey be measured not by how quickly you reach the finish line, but by how fully you show up to each moment along the way. Build your life on values. on purpose, on resilience. Let your character be louder than your resume. Let your soul grow richer than your reputation. And trust this, the success that truly matters will find its way to you, not because you chased it, but because you became someone worthy of it, through growth. Good luck on your journey wherever it takes you, and thank you for walking this path with the courage to grow.